In this lesson, we'll begin drawing the stringers as well as our landing. Okay, so let's do some housekeeping here. I'm going to get rid of some of this extraneous line work. I'm simply going to erase these extra lines because we really don't need them anymore. And once we get these lines out of the way, what we're going to do next is actually we're going to mirror up, or use the mirror tool to duplicate this first half of this staircase here and create the second half. So once I grab these last couple of lines, we'll be able to move on to the next task. So now, basically how this reads is we got 14 steps, and this last one here is actually where the landing is going to be. So at this point, I want to go ahead and use this and set the guide for my second run here for my stairs. So I'm just going to go to mirror. We're going to mirror this over, and I'm going to say no, because I don't want to delete the first one. And you can see the math we did was right, and it comes right up to this area. And this will actually be the slab edge, and this will be the beam supporting that area. So far so good. So I'm liking where we're at. So what we need to do now is actually get our stringers and landing in place. And those are going to be C channels, and their depth is going to be about 8 inches. And the thickness of the steel, you know, just for ease of math and kind of easy to remember, they're going to be about 1/4 inch thick. And I know that's probably a little bit of overkill, but it's just, you know, for simplicity reasons and keeping this example pretty simple. That's the reason for going with that size. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing out these stringers. So I'm just going to go to line, and I'm going to run this across, and I'm not too concerned about that length because we're going to do some trimming with that later. But I am going to go ahead and offset that distance I just mentioned. So we'll go with offset, and we'll go with 8 inches, and I'm just going to kick that down. And now I'm just going to grab these two pieces that we just drew, grab them and move them, and I'm going to place them right about here. Now all I need to do is rotate it so that it's following the same angle as what we have going here. And then we can do a little bit of trimming a little bit after that. So we'll select it, we'll rotate. Rotation point will be about right there, and I want it to line up that way. So now you can see we've got our stringers in place. Pretty easy, huh? So next we can go ahead and get the landing in place. So for my landing, I got to make a couple of assumptions. I know that each one of these is basically just my reference. A little bit later, we'll be placing some blocks and making this a lot more detailed. But we know the depth here, and the depth is not going to change. But what's going to change is what's going on between the depth. So essentially, we're going to have this piece of concrete here on each step that's going to be poured in to these pans. So it'll be 2 inches of concrete on each step, as well as on top of this landing. So we're going to take that into account when we draw out the landing there. So we're going to go 2 inches down, and that's going to count for that concrete I mentioned to you. And we're just going to shoot this across right to this end. We'll say 4 feet for now. And I'm going to do the same thing, just offset this line that I just drew by 8 inches. So we'll just offset 8 inches. We'll shoot it down. We'll go ahead and finish this off. Go ahead and run that across as well. And that probably goes close to that, in between the beam anyway. Oh, and make sure my line is straight here. And once we finish this off, we'll have our landing and our stringer in place. And I'm going to go ahead and use this fillet command to get these taken care of. So now you can see things kind of coming together a little bit. We could do a little bit of cleaning down here as well. So I'm going to trim off the excess line work down here. So we'll go trim. And we'll cut these guys off. So now I'm just going to mirror this up and make a slight adjustment after that. So we'll select those two lines. So now I'm going to mirror, and I'm going to use this as my line. I don't want to get rid of my last one, but I do want to adjust the positioning of this. So again, I'm going to grab my move button, grab it and move it like so. And we've just got our other stringer in place, and I'm going to go ahead and drag this up to where it clicks there. Do some extra cleaning here. Type in trim. We'll cut that off. And we now have our stringers and landing in place. So we'll get a little bit more detailed in the next level, or in the next lesson, where we'll start putting in some Z-pans, and we'll use blocks to get that accomplished. So I'll see you in the next lesson.